Hey y'all, this is TCA Gaming, and in this video we have a CGC Pokemon graded card return. And typically I just show you guys the highlights, maybe a few that weren't really that great. But in this one, for every card that I had multiple that I graded up, I tried grabbing the lowest grade and then the highest grade, so you can kind of see the range. And then typically you're going to expect most of them to fall in between the lowest and the high. But this is one of those submissions where I know it's starting off kind of rough, an 8 on a Japanese new back card. But it was actually pretty good. This one at an 8, you can kind of see why it did. I mean, it's got a couple of white dots up there. But I like the fact that it was an Eevee from E5, or no, this is E4, the Split Earth, E4. Had a Great Tusk EX, pulled the gem at 10. I did send off, I'm not sure how many of these that I sent out for the Mew EX, but I did get a few that pulled the Pristine, so that was nice. Now, I typically try to send off a handful of these Pikachu number 27s. The lowest grade that I got was a 9, and then the highest was a Pristine. I almost always get at least a few Pristines for this card, just because, I mean, this is one of those cards I was showing you guys in the video I had about PSA, where I've still got a brick of them, and I'm still working through another brick, which it doesn't have. There's not a ton left in that one. I don't know if I want to break the last brick, but they're just in really, really good shape. They're always nice and centered. They've got good surfaces. So this is a card that I almost always have, or have in recent years have had in either PSA 10 or CGC 10 or both. Did grade a Mega Lucario, pulled the gem mint 10. I sent off, I think, maybe 10 or so of the special delivery Charizard. The lowest I got was an 8, and I think it was mostly because of the centering. You can kind of see how this one shifted. And then the highest I got was a gem at 10. This is one card that I've sent off hundreds of copies to CGC, and I've never gotten a pristine 10, not one. So maybe it's going to be one that I grade eventually in time, but it just has not happened yet. And I'm running out of special delivery Charizards that are ungraded. All right, sent off several of these Mew EX. The lowest I got was a 9, and the highest I got was a 10. So very consistent. Stayed right in the 9, 9, 5, 9, 10, or 9, 5, and 10 grades. So it was just those three. I sent off several of these Snorlax Z's, with the cameo with Eevee. Got the moon in the background. The lowest I got was an 8, 5. I think this one might have been because one of the corners might have been that top corner. I can't remember. But it looked like it was, it just had like a slight, it's this bottom corner here, I think. It's hard to see, but there is like a little mark right there that kind of cuts into the surface itself. And then I got one gem mint 10. Typically I'll get maybe 1 or 2 pristines out of 25. I don't think I quite sent 25 with this one, but didn't get any pristines. Gem mint 10 was the highest I got. Here we have Charizard V-Star. I did not send off a ton like I typically do. It wasn't 25 or 50. I think it was like maybe 10 or less. The lowest I got was an 8.5, but I did get a pristine. No, I do want to say it was probably 10 to 15 of these. So this is a big grade. A Charizard V-Star, like this promo, is very sought after, and pristine 10. I think the last one I sold went for about $1,000 or so, which is kind of crazy. Super good markup. I don't get many pristines. Usually those go directly into my personal collection. I have sold a few here and there. Charizard VMAX got an 8.5 as the low, and then the highest I got was a gem mint 10. Charizard V pulled an 8, and typically with an 8 for a card like this, you're definitely going to lose a little bit of money. You could have just sold the card raw, near mint condition for about $30-$35, or it may have come. I know that these cards were hot and then they come back down, so the price may not be that high anymore. But yeah, once you factor in like what you pay for grading plus the extra shipping that you're going to have to pay, for a PSA or CGC graded card, then yeah, a lot of times if you get an 8, it's definitely not worth it. But then you have a few like this, I did get one pristine for the Charizard V, the Sword Shield 260, so huge markup for a card like that. But also, I think it just looks really nice with that almost like etch-a-sketched gold embossed 10 that says pristine. I like this label so much more than even like the old Perfects. I did open up my last pack of Mew 47. I was like, it's probably time to grade some of these. I had someone buy my last gem mint 10 from CGC for over $200, and I saw PSAs were like at 800 or so. asking. I didn't check to see if many had sold at that price. And then, pristine, there weren't any, and luckily I did manage to pull a pristine, which is super nice for this card. They call it the lily pad Mew, but it's not. It's not a lily pad. He's just sitting on a rock, and there's some there might be some lily pads stuck somewhere out here with a flower, but that's definitely not a lily pad right there. But anyways, super cool Mew. One of many Mew promos and Mewtwo's that you can get. All right, I did send in some of these Shadowless cards that I had pulled from one of the decks that we had opened up. I believe it was when we were doing the Error Pikachu hunting video. I think it was one of the few videos in the entire past year that have gotten 10,000 views as a new video. Anyways, some of the old ones still do really well. But Jinx pulled a 9, got double 9. I think I'm showing all of the Shadowless cards just to show you kind of like what it looks like, or at least it did for me on this submission, instead of just picking and choosing like the best. Like Kadabra pulled a 9, Bill 9.5. Did pull a Gem Mint 10 there on that Bill, 9.5 on the potion. A lot of these 9s and 9.5s are probably, they're going to be around break even or so. But the 10s, there should be, a decent amount of markup. So you can see how many 10s there were. Did overall really well. Of course, you want to see those pristines trickle in there, in which obviously you're not seeing any of those, at least yet anyways, for the Shadowless. Got a 10 on the computer search. If you get like an 8.5, it's probably not going to do that great. However, a lot of times with these cards, for it to be worth it, you gotta have some patience, because if you just send these cards straight to auction, it may not do well. If you're in a hot time like we were a few months ago, then yeah, everything's going to do okay. But like right now, some of those, especially if you have shipping added in or like tacked on, I mean, they might bring $5 or less. I've seen that even with some of the PSA cards. I graded some Celebration Hollows. A lot of them got 10s. I did overall really well on that submission. And then there were several 8s and 9s. And some of those cards, PSA graded, Lugias, Ho-Ohs, you're talking about legendary Pokemon from a set where the 10s are hundreds of dollars. The 8s and 9s, they literally brought like 99 cents in auction. So you just got to be careful with some of that stuff. You're definitely going to lose out, with certain cards, because people are just going to be looking at kind of like the raw price if you don't get that 10 chase. Now I did grade a set of 8 of these Costco exclusive Cosmos Hollows for the Evolutions. This was something that was thrown in for free by the old card shop. If you guys look at that double swirl on the Glaceon. If you guys don't know Josh, super nice guy, very trustworthy. I remember the first time I met him. It was at Leonhardt's pop-up event, and I was just walking around. I was trying to like hand out, just do something, because there was a few people, like places you could buy stuff there, but I just want to walk around and just meet some people. And he like come up to me and he just started talking to me, and I feel like ever since then, we've got to know each other a little bit better. But I ended up buying some stuff off of him on Instagram. He's always got packs and stuff that are coming in from like these retail drops and different things like that, and he gives you a pretty good price. So if you haven't heard of him and you like buying packs for a decent price, I mean they're not going to be MSRP unless that's the going rate. But he's very trustworthy. It's the old card shop. Joshamon, that might be his other handle. Sometimes I don't know what to tell people, because it's like different when you look at your phone versus your desktop. And a lot of times I'm looking at people's accounts on the desktop. But I think every single one of those got at least a 9.5. Yeah, and most of them were 10s, so that was really cool. Josh, if you end up watching this, that was your set right there that you sent to the kids, and now I'm going to pass them along. All right, now we got a Tyranitar EX. Got the Pristine 10, and did all the same thing with the Lucario and Tyranitar EX. Prismatic Collection. Here we have the stamped Cosmos Tyranitar. Pulled the 9 on that one. Then there's the Lucario. Pulled the Gem Mint 10. Now from the battle decks, I ended up breaking those down. I graded several of the Miloetta, graded several of the Haunter. Lowest grade I got on Miloetta was a 9.5, and I did get, look at that, I did pull a Pristine, which is really cool. I mean, it's a beautiful card, so I think this is something that will do well in the long run. The Haunter, the lowest I got was a 9, and then the highest I got was a 10. I really wanted to get a 10 on the Haunter. I like the Haunter. I think the Miluetta actually has a better artwork, but I prefer the Haunter myself, probably just because I'm a Gen 1 guy. He's got a moon in the background too. See that? Moonter? It's a Moonter. I don't know. All right, Mega Gengar EX. Graded several of these. Lowest I got was an 8.5, and then got I believe there were several pristine 10s. Most of these were in really nice shape, so definitely gradable cards, and overall I'm definitely happy with the results. Got a Team Rocket Zapdos. I think it's just a cool card. It reminds me of the Gym Challenge Zapdos, and so pulled the gym at 10. All right, so we've got a few more cards to go. And at the end, I've got a few errors that I'm going to show you guys too. There's a Runiculus. Lowest I got was a 10. Highest Pristine. Those seem to grade pretty good. Man, I was really hoping for the Pristine on this. Like, you guys know I like Volcanion. I bought this from Pokemonster LLC. We had went to shop for, I think it was my daughter and my son, filling some stuff in their binders. And I ran across this card. I was like, all right, I'm going to get one card for myself. And I picked this one up. I just like the texture. I mean, overall, I just like Volcanion in general. But I want to get them in. I'm going to start a Volcanion collection where I can get them in the highest grades. In fact, I think right there, that's a Volcanion from Steam Siege. That's the gold one, PSA 10. I picked that up off of, gosh, it's one of the guys that I do a lot of business with. It was at Jake's table, but it was the guy beside of Jake. All right, now we have some Japanese hollows. These are just basic hollows from Terrestrial Fest, but it is Evolutions, and I graded quite a few of these. Now, overall, grades were superb. But again, I'm going to show you the lowest ones I got. Like I got a 9.5 on this. You know, that's probably for sure going to lose money. But got pristine on this, and I think there were more pristines with these hollows than just like the lower grades, which I did have to do some heavy filtering out because I had a lot of these left over from just random bulk that I had set aside from probably a year, maybe 2 years ago at this point. And you know, I pulled a lot of them out. I was like, you know, these we'll just send through, even though they're kind of minty. I tried to pick ones that were well centered. They didn't have, you know, like chips or anything around the edges. Jolteon, Gem Mint 10, and pristine. And then Vaporeon, lowest was a 9.5, and then the highest was pristine. So if you're looking for any of these, well, I might have a few available. Eevee did really well. I think it was like 8 out of 10, pristine 10, something like that, maybe 9. Espeon, pristine. Got Glaceon. You can see most of these, the lowest was a Gem Mint and the highest was a pristine. Got Sylveon. This is one of those submissions where it was like everything was pretty nice. Like if you take 10 random submissions to any grading company, usually you're going to have about half of them that you probably don't feel that great about. Like maybe you didn't do that good, maybe you did, and that's usually referring to like English submissions, maybe not Japanese. Japanese, it's a whole different ball game. And then you'll get a few in there where it's like, man, I wish I hadn't submitted those, and you want to throw them in a box and just not look at them for a little bit, let them cool off. And then you have a few submissions like these where it's just like, you did really good. The Umbreon was actually the one that I did the worst on. I think I only had 1 or 2 pristines on it, but I had to filter out so many cards because for a lot of them, they had this like furry issue around the edges, like it just wasn't cut that well. But so I may have missed a few in there, but yeah, still the lowest was a Gem Mint 10, and then was able to snag a few regular pristine 10s. All right, here's some of the errors. This is from Shining Fates. These Eevees, this pair of Eevees right here, they both had the print dot, and I've got a lot more off-center cards that I've started to be more picky, I guess you could say, and letting several of them just kind of continue through into the bulk rather than setting them to the side. But what's interesting about this, you can see on the back side here, their line, like the centering is good. The centering is good on the back, but it's the front where it's shifted up and to the left. So this is a misalignment. That's why it says misalignment rather than off center or miscut or something like that. Miscut is usually showing another card. Off center means if it was cut like this or centered badly on the front, it would be centered badly on the back as well. But because the back is centered correct and the front is not, then it's like it's saying that the plates were misaligned. All right, next up we have a Dragonite, and this one is ribbed. You can see it pretty tough rib there. A lot of times I have these WB cards. It's one of the best sellers that I have still on my eBay. I'm going to run out of these cards eventually, especially Dragonite. For some reason, this one sells better than the other three, and it goes, like, I sell it pretty consistently at $79.99 in a sealed form. But if I run across one with a crimp like this, I realize somebody probably won't want that, and at this point it's actually worth less with that crimp. Because the 8.5, I doubt I would get $80 out of that, but I guess we'll just see. Now, I did have a Mega Charizard sealed Oricorio that had a crimp. So you can see I've got the Mint 9 error. It's got that partial crimp there. And then last but not least, same thing. We've got it with the Mega Charizard. Got a partial crimp going across the top. So I would think that Mint 9 is going to be the highest grade you could get for something like that. But the card looks good. Take away the crimp anyways. If you take out all those little ridges going across the top, the card is in nice minty shape. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you are wondering about your different options for the grade, the two places that I typically go is PSA and CGC. Beckett every now and then. I think that they're like a niche play. A lot of risk, but a lot of reward if you get it, with that black label. But with this one, I was very happy with my submission to CGC. And, I'll try to continue to submit to them maybe once a month or so and get back in order. What you saw here was the best and worst out of 400 cards. So some of these I submitted lots of, and some of them it was just the one of. And anyways, I appreciate your support and hope you guys have a great weekend.